was you hick. Our yek for all. Ikudu ibikuka. Yulbzolu iondu. You little cock. I use yula koldoloya. Olik, olazulam, cause. Ilzazeri ku atzoko. Amnos crudu. Laomism wop. Was you a dealers also? Few houses is view. Ikola kizado you lola. Islis pozaiuku. Aumizukikyo. You are lucky.
That, my friends, is the intro to one of the greatest games of all time. A game that has no right to be a masterpiece, and yet somehow is. This game is, of course, none other than Shadow of the Colossus. An absolute masterclass when it comes to visual storytelling. Probably the most interesting thing about Shadow of the Colossus is that nothing about this game should work, and yet it somehow does. It subverts all expectations and goes above the odds to be spectacular in every way, shape, and form. Every piece of this game tells a story. Your character, the sky, the architecture, and every piece of grass and the birds in the air tell a story. And we're going to break it down. This is the first part in a 4-part series. Each part, I will go over 4 pieces of visual storytelling and 4 different colossi, till we get to the 16th. Now, I could talk about all 16 colossi in one video, but that would be a very long video. And I feel like this game deserves more time than that. So with all that out of the way, sit back, relax, as we get into Shadow of the Colossus, a visual masterpiece. Roll the intro. Hello everybody, I am Randall Calrissian. The best way to describe the beginning of Shadow of the Colossus is eerie. It's made very clear by the way the door closes behind your character, and by the way he glances back at it, that he knows he's not coming out of here alive. He knows he's going to die here. And the way that he slowly walks down the stairs, without saying a word, without his heart rate racing, or without breathing heavy, he is perfectly fine with that. He knows what he came here to do, and he knows what it will cost him, and he doesn't care. That, my friends, is how you open a game. That is visual storytelling. It's very subtle, but it's very effective. We feel for this man. We feel that we are going to take this great journey with him, and we know that we are not going to survive with him. And yet, we're intrigued. We get this sense of bravado and bravery and courage. But what we don't know yet is that it's not bravery. It's not courage. Everything that we're seeing is false. It lures us into a false sense of sympathy for this person. However, we'll touch more on that after he fights the first colossi. What I want to focus on right now is the way that he's looking at the person that he's carrying. See how he glances down at her ever so slightly? See how he gently holds her? Even more so, see how he gently places her on the table. And before he does, he takes one final look at her in his arms, as if to say, "I love you," or "Come back to me." Without saying a word, he lays her on the table and unveils her. And we learn right here that she is much older than he is. In fact, our very first look at him, we learn that This is not a man. This is just a boy. It's amazing how much we actually feel for this character without knowing a single thing about him. We don't know who this girl is. We don't know what she is to him. We don't even know his name at this point. And yet we feel sympathy. We feel his loss. And we feel sorry for him. And we're willing to take this journey with him to do whatever he needs to do to bring her back. Look how there's no fear in his face, or any fear in his body language as he pulls out his sword towards these literal shadow people that, honestly, he probably doesn't even know what these things are capable of. He doesn't know what these things want. Maybe he does, but through his body language we can tell that this young boy is brave, or at the very least, very stupid. And this is the very first and only time our character speaks.
You called us. You dream you. I will think you own you.
Dormi, ifo. Alu yula. Oshtu hailwa wukiu aikwa. Ujisu hiazu tsudoko. Was nordekyo wutiu yula.
I will answer. I will be you eyes darling, cute.
Izukyumuku. Iduse orodo yu iweriko. It's not ours amuswa. Alu diklik. If the leads to iso.
我从此一直往you love. Like always is I'm too cool. You echoes you. And we no cool. You are the no. You do. Oh, you Chris.
Uranora.
Reason could come around you. You are a good
Oyu. I'll bet.
I was guilty call. No certain kiss, no cuddle. On those around us. I worry could you do. Error was no use. It well, it do. It do. No.
You do. You bet, Sanada.
Cool. I won't do. Was no use. Oh, you know, you and Bill cry outside. Was you and Bill, or become Zula, Mukira Jura. No sus, you are your hands, can do no code.
Oram.
You and the was no widow, you will yellow. Or you are our shit.
Ola. You do new.
No cool.
There's a lot going on in this scene in terms of visual storytelling. The first thing I want to bring attention to is this blanket. See how it slowly just drifts away? That's actually very important. Keep that in mind because we won't touch on it again until part 4. Because believe it or not, this is very subtle foreshadowing that's not evident until the very end of the game. But the main thing I want to focus on is Wander. Yes, that is his name, Wander, and his body language, and the way that he speaks. If it wasn't evident already, this is just a boy. We can tell by his voice. It hasn't even deepened yet. It's soft, and it's light, innocent almost. We are just playing as a young, possibly even frightened boy, who seems very determined to save this cursed girl who had a cursed fate. We don't know her name yet. We don't learn her name till much, much later in the game. But why is Wander so determined? Why does he want to save her? Well, we don't really know. We see that he clearly loves her, but in what way does he love her? Is this his sister? Is this his girlfriend? Is this someone related to him? Or, because he's a boy, is it much more tragic than that? Is he just simply infatuated with her? We don't know. The game never gives us a definitive answer. It leaves it ambiguous. Notice how when Dorman says, souls that are lost cannot be reclaimed. Look at the way that Wander acts, how his head dangles, like coming here was for nothing. And then Dorman throws in this.
You are the no, you do, oh you could.
裏のら
Reason could come around you. You are a good.
おい会う別
Ah, you see what he did? This is a manipulation tactic. It's also a part of visual storytelling. Now, some would argue that this is auditory storytelling, but I personally disagree. We see in this moment that Wander is clearly being manipulated by everything that Dorman is saying. We already know that Wander has already made his choice. That was very evident once the door closed and he looked back at it, accepting his fate. And Dorman is playing with that. He's playing off of Wander's emotions. Notice the language here, how he says, I cannot reclaim souls. However, with that sword it may be possible. Destroy these idols. However, it cannot be destroyed with your hands. You need to kill the colossi in these lands. Ha, that rhymed. Yeah, I know, I'm ridiculous. Anyways, we see this interaction taking place, and we see Wander growing more and more hopeful with each line of dialogue. Yes, he's already made his decision, but now he knows it's possible, and he's willing to do whatever it takes. He's becoming more and more confident with each word, and as he says, he doesn't care of the price he has to pay, because it doesn't matter. The world that we are in is completely silent. It's completely still. There's nothing. No breeze. Nobody around. Just you and your objective. We go to the very first place, which is a little valley on top of a mountain. We go there and we're introduced to this. This is a very simple yet effective way of telling the player they have reached their destination. You have arrived. You're where you need to be, without saying it in big bold letters. We ascend the top of the mountain. Again, everything is quiet and still, until we see what we're truly up against. If it wasn't evident by the beginning of the game, it is now. This young man is off his rocker. He clearly does not know what he's getting himself into, but he's also clearly not backing down. This is what I mean by false bravado. We feel his bravery. He's tough, and he's willing to do whatever it takes. And you know what? So are we. Because these things are huge. They're giant, and usually in video games, giant means evil. And you know what? We have every reason to believe that they're evil. They try to kill us. They try to stomp on us. And you know what? They look like they're not friendly. And we're trying to bring back this girl that we clearly love. We clearly have motivation to do what we're doing. And you know what? Why not do it? It's the game's objective. We are clearly the good guy, and these are clearly the evil guys. These are clearly the bad things in these lands. Something that has keeping this god dormant. Something that's blocking his powers. Something that doesn't want us to bring this girl back to life. So why not kill them? But when we do kill them, this happens. Well, shit. I don't know about you, but this is the very first time in the game that I, personally, felt like the bad guy. The sad music is off-putting, and the black tendrils coming out and piercing your body and making you literally pass out does not help. Also, it doesn't help that 9 times out of 10, when you fight these colossi, it sounds like this. Yeah, not great. We see now that we may not be the good guy. Through the immaculate visual storytelling, through the tendrils coming out and killing us, we see that maybe we are not doing the right thing. We see that maybe the bravado that Wander had is really arrogance, foolishness, even cowardice. We see that Wander only cares about one thing, the girl, and he will do anything to bring her back, which is why many people think that this girl actually is nothing to Wander, or at least he is nothing to her. He is simply a young boy who is infatuated with her, who wants to bring her back from the dead simply because the fact that he thinks, well, she's pretty, and there's a lot of evidence to back this up. We're only given a name to her through the middle of the game, which is Mona. And, well, it seems like, honestly, every time he looks at her, it's not a face of that you would give a sister, or a mother, or an aunt. It's a face of infatuation. A face of, you're pretty, and I'm doing this because you're pretty. It's very tragic, honestly. And it's just, it makes you feel, I don't know, cold. Like, you shouldn't be doing this. You shouldn't be here. You shouldn't be killing these sacred creatures. As you can see, not all the colossi are bipedal like the first one. You have Cowardice, who is the second one, who is the first quadrupedal colossi. Then you have Gaius, who is one of the tallest. Then you have my personal favorite, Phaedra, who is also quadrupedal, but something is interesting about Phaedra. She looks more curious than anything else. She never outright attacks the player. She simply peeks into the hole looking for you once she sees you, like she wants to play. And then she does something interesting, something human. The first thing that we see these animals do that honestly feels more human than anything else. She seizes up in pain. When you stab her neck, she seizes up like she's in immense amount of pain, like you genuinely hurt her. And she stays there for a moment, unable to move, until you deliver the killing blow. And there's just something so wrong about killing something as majestic and as beautiful as Phaedra. It feels wrong. It feels like you're the monster and they're not. It just... I don't know how to describe it. This is the point for me when I really feel like I am not doing the right thing. It was at this moment for me when I truly felt like the monster. That is until the game throws the next curveball at you. However, that is all the time I have for this video. Thank you everyone so much for watching, if indeed you still are, and I appreciate every single one of you. Also, I just want to say my last video that I did on Black Ops 3 Zombies has almost 1,000 views, 15 likes, and 20 comments. Thank you all, everyone, so much for that. It honestly means the world to me. If you like this video, be sure to like, share, subscribe. Leave a comment on what you liked and what you think I could do better, and for future videos that you'd like to see on this channel. Also, be sure to join me next time for part 2 of Black Ops 3 Zombies. Might be a little bit worse than you remember. And of course, keep an eye out for part 2 of Shadow of the Colossus, a visual masterpiece. Again, thank you so much. God bless, and may the Force be with you. Peace.